Hey everyone, welcome back to the Board Business Channel. I gotta say, I always thought the world of semiconductors was about as interesting as watching paint dry.
Oh, honey, you're just realizing that now. This stuff is always fascinating.
All right, maybe you have a point there, but for real folks, Xintec is like the hidden genius behind some of the coolest tech in our phones.
They're a Taiwanese company, right?
Yeah, and get this, they're a key supplier to TSMC.
Whoa, no way. The biggest chip maker in the world. It's like they're supplying the brains for like everything we do online.
Exactly. And they're experts in this wild technology.
What's it called?
It's called Wafer Level Package CSP, or WLCSP for short.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
I know, right? But trust me, it's seriously mind-blowing.
Okay, so explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so imagine you have this super tiny chip, right?
Yeah.
Super powerful. It's like the heart of your phone's camera.
Okay, got it.
Now you got to fit that teeny tiny chip onto a wafer, which is like the base for all the electronics. Well, Xintec's WLCSP technology is like the ultimate puzzle master. It fits those little pieces together perfectly and makes everything work.
Oh, so it's like they're building a mini city on a wafer.
Yeah.
With like tiny buildings and everything.
Exactly. And each building has a different job to do.
I love that analogy. And that's how our phones can be so slim and still have amazing cameras and everything.
Right. Without Xintec, our phones would be like bricks.
And way less fun to use.
For sure. But here's another crazy thing back in 2007.
What happened?
TSMC actually became a major investor in Xintec. It's like finding out that Beyoncé and Jay-Z are business partners.
It makes so much sense, though. TSMC saw how incredible Xintec's technology was, and they were like, we got to be a part of this.
Right. And it's working out great for both of them. So let's dive into the details. What are Xintec's main products and services?
Okay, so their biggest thing is definitely wafer-level packaging that makes up over 65% of their revenue.
Got it.
And that's where they package those tiny chips we talked about.
For like the cameras and stuff.
Yeah. For image sensors, the things that make our smartphone camera so good.
That's awesome.
And also environmental sensors. Those are the things that adjust your screen brightness depending on the light.
Oh, wow. So they're the reason I can take awesome selfies and scroll through Instagram without going blind?
Pretty much.
Xintec, you're the real MVP.
Right.
What else do they do?
Okay, well, they also do wafer testing.
What's that?
It's like quality control for chips.
Mm-hmm.
They make sure each chip is working perfectly before it goes out into the world.
So it's like a microscopic inspection line.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No room for error there, huh?
Nope. They got to be super precise because even the smallest flaw can mess everything up.
Yeah.
And then there's this super cool new technology they're working on.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
It's called Wafer Level Package, Post-Passivation Interconnect.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
I know, right? PPI for short.
Okay, much better. So what does it do?
Basically, it's a way to connect different parts of the chip after they're already packaged.
So it's like building tiny roads and bridges on the chip itself.
You get it. Mind-blowing.
I know, right? And it's used for things like fingerprint sensors and power management chips. The things that make our phones super responsive.
Wow. Xintec is seriously impressive. They're like the unsung heroes of the smartphone world. But wait, they don't just work with any smartphone companies, do they? Tell me they work with, like, the big names.
Okay, come closer. I'll tell you.
What is it?
They work with Apple.
No way.
Seriously.
Yep. So every time you snap a pic with your iPhone, you're secretly using Xintec technology.
That's insane. I had no idea. But hold on, Xintec isn't just riding Apple's coattails, right? They're doing their own thing, too.
Oh, absolutely. They're constantly innovating, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with semiconductors.
So they're not just keeping up, they're ahead of the game.
Exactly. They're constantly developing new technologies, making chips smaller, faster, and more efficient. And get this, they're not just focused on smartphones anymore.
Oh, really?
They're expanding into other markets like cars.
Right. Like all the sensors and cameras that are making cars so high-tech these days. Exactly. Think lane departure warnings, adaptive cruise control, all that stuff. Xintec's tech is making it all possible.
So they're not just in our pockets, they're in our cars too.
That's right. They're even getting into the world of surveillance, powering the chips that are used in security cameras.
Wow, so they're everywhere. It's like they're the secret ingredient in all the coolest tech out there.
Pretty much. And here's another cool thing. They're not just about profits.
Okay.
They're also really committed to sustainability, finding ways to make their manufacturing processes more eco-friendly.
So they're innovating for a better planet too. I love that.
Me too. They're setting a great example for other tech companies.
It's amazing how this one company in Taiwan is having such a huge impact on the entire tech world.
Right. They're like this quiet powerhouse, quietly powering some of the biggest advancements we see today.
It's true. And the best part is they're just getting started.
Who knows what incredible innovations they'll be a part of in the future.
I know. And speaking of global impact, my friend Steve.
Yeah, what about him?
He's the executive director of the Arizona-Taiwan office.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, he works on strengthening ties between Taiwan and the U.S., especially when it comes to technology and innovation. And he always talks about companies like Xintec as prime examples of how amazing things can happen when people collaborate.
That's awesome. It sounds like he's doing some really important work.
Yeah, he is. But let's get back to Xintec. We've talked about their history, their technology, their commitment to sustainability, and their crazy impressive client list. But what about the future? What challenges and opportunities are out there for them in this crazy world of tech?
That's a great question, and one we'll definitely be diving into right after this. Quick. Well, this industry never sleeps, right? Xintec can't just sit back and relax.
It's like they've reached the top of the mountain, but there are a whole bunch of other mountains out there waiting to be climbed.
Exactly. And one of the biggest mountains they got to tackle is artificial intelligence. AI.
Right. AI's everywhere these days.
And all the AI needs some serious horsepower. You need chips that are basically mini supercomputers crunching numbers faster than we can think.
I've heard about those AI chips. They're like the brains behind those self-driving cars.
Exactly. And you know what? Xintec is already on it.
No way. They're involved in that too.
They are. All their expertise in advanced packaging and testing is exactly what you need to make those crazy, powerful AI chips. It's like they're the architects building the foundation for the whole AI revolution.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. Xintec is basically shaping the future.
They are. But it's not just about AI. Remember how we talked about miniaturization?
Yeah, everyone wants their devices to be smaller and more powerful.
Right. Think about those foldable phones. They're like magic.
I know, right? It's like having a tablet in your pocket.
Exactly. And to make those foldable phones work, you need chips that are impossibly tiny.
It's like folding a whole computer in half.
And Xintec's WLCSP technology is the key. They're the absolute masters of packing a ton of power into a tiny space.
So they're not just chip makers, they're like origami masters. But hold on, if the chips are getting smaller and more powerful, won't they overheat? Like, wouldn't my phone just melt?
That's a great question. And it's a challenge the whole industry is working on. They're coming up with all sorts of crazy ways to manage heat, making sure the chips stay cool, even when they're working at full speed.
It's incredible how much thought goes into something so tiny. But speaking of tiny, isn't there a limit to how small they can make these chips?
That's the million-dollar question. Scientists and engineers are constantly pushing the limits of physics, trying to make the impossible possible.
It's a race against nature itself, and Xintec is right there at the finish line.
Exactly. But, all this talk about powerful chips, doesn't it make you wonder about the environmental impact?
It does. Making all these chips must take a lot of energy and resources.
It does. But that's something Xintec takes really seriously. They're committed to sustainable manufacturing, doing everything they can to minimize their impact on the environment.
That's awesome. So they're not just innovating for better tech, they're innovating for a better planet, too.
Exactly. They're showing the world that you can have both. You can be a tech leader and an environmental leader at the same time.
That's such a powerful message.
Yeah.
But let's be real. All this innovation can't be cheap. What's their secret? How do they stay ahead of the curve without breaking the bank?
Well, a big part of it is their relationship with TSMC. Remember how we talked about them being a power couple?
The dynamic duo. The dream team.
Exactly. That partnership gives Xintec access to TSMC's amazing manufacturing capabilities. So they can make these high-tech chips on a massive scale and keep costs low.
That makes sense. And they're not just relying on smartphones anymore, right?
Right. They're branching out into other areas like cars and surveillance. That gives them multiple streams of revenue and makes them less vulnerable to changes in any one industry.
Smart move. It's like diversifying your investments.
Exactly. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket. They're also constantly investing in research and development, staying ahead of the game.
It's like they're always thinking 10 steps ahead.
Exactly. But, in all this talk about technology and strategy, it's easy to forget about the people behind it all.
Yeah, the brilliant minds making all this magic happen.
Xintec has created this amazing culture of innovation and collaboration. They attract the best talent from all over the world. Engineers and scientists who are passionate about pushing the boundaries.
It's like a team of superheroes, each with their own unique power coming together to create the future.
I love that. But it's not just about the people either. It's about leadership.
Right. You need someone to steer the ship.
Exactly. Xintec has this amazing leadership team. They're focused on the long game, making smart decisions that will keep the company successful for years to come. They're not just reacting to trends, they're anticipating them, charting a course for the future.
It's like they're navigating through uncharted waters.
Exactly. And you know, my friend Steve, the executive director of the Arizona Taiwan office.
Yeah, what about him?
Well, he's a big fan of Xintec. He believes that companies like Xintec are really important for building bridges between Taiwan and the U.S.
That's awesome. It sounds like Xintec is more than just a company. It's a symbol of progress and partnership.
It really is. But all this talk about the future has me wondering what's next for Xintec. What kind of crazy innovations are they dreaming up right now?
I know. The possibilities are endless. What do you think they'll do next? So we've talked a lot about Xintec today. It's crazy to think how much they're involved in our everyday lives, even though most people have no clue who they are.
It's true. They're like the silent force behind so much of our technology.
Right. It makes you wonder what they'll do next. I mean, they're already in smartphones, cars, security cameras. What's next? Are they going to start making chips for our toasters?
Well, maybe. But
Yeah.
seriously, the possibilities are endless. I think healthcare is a huge opportunity for them.
Oh, yeah. Like chips that can track our health, diagnose diseases, stuff like that.
Exactly. We're already seeing it with smartwatches and fitness trackers, but it can go so much further. Imagine tiny chips that can monitor your vitals, deliver personalized medicine, even repair damaged tissue.
Whoa, that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But Xintec could actually make that happen.
Totally. They have the know-how to create tiny, powerful chips that can work safely inside the human body.
So they're not just changing how we live, they're potentially changing how we heal, too. That's amazing.
It is, and who knows what other industries they'll revolutionize. Maybe they'll be the ones to finally crack the code on flying cars.
A flying car powered by Xintec. Sign me up. Okay, let's get back to reality for a second. We've talked about all the amazing things Xintec is doing, but what about the challenges? What are some of the obstacles they got to overcome to stay ahead of the game?
Well, one of the biggest challenges for any tech company is staying innovative. The semiconductor industry is super competitive. Everyone's always trying to one-up each other with faster, more powerful chips.
It's like a constant race to the top.
Right. And Xintec can't afford to fall behind. They have to keep pushing the limits, exploring new materials, new designs, new manufacturing processes.
So it's not enough to be good.
Yeah,
They have to be constantly striving to be the best.
absolutely. They have to be the trendsetters, the pioneers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? What other challenges are they facing?
Another big one is finding and keeping the best talent. Xintec needs the brightest minds in the world to stay ahead of the curve.
But everyone wants those people, right?
Yeah.
It's like a battle for geniuses.
It is. So Xintec has to create a work environment that attracts and keeps top talent. They got to offer competitive salaries, great benefits opportunities for growth, and they got to build a culture where people feel valued and respected.
So it's not just about the tech, it's about the people.
100%. You can
Yeah.
have all the fancy equipment in the world, but without the right people to use it, it's useless.
Right. It's like having a Ferrari but not knowing how to drive.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
finding and keeping top talent is crucial for Xintec's success. Okay, one more challenge they got to worry about.
What's that?
Geopolitics.
Oh, right. All the global competition and trade wars and stuff.
Yeah, the semiconductor industry is very sensitive to all that. So Xintec has to play their cards, right? They got to make sure they're following all the rules, building relationships with governments and partners around the world.
So they're walking a tightrope, trying to stay on everyone's good side.
Pretty much. It's a complex game, but they seem to be handling it well.
From what we've learned today,
Mhm.
it sounds like they're up for any challenge.
Yeah.
You've got the brains, the tech, and the drive to keep succeeding.
I think so too. They're a really inspiring company.
Definitely. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of Xintec. It's been a blast exploring this incredible company with you.
Me too.
And to all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in to the Board Business Channel. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of business. Until then, stay curious.
Keep learning.
Bye, everyone.
See you next time.